You know, it's funny. People tell me I forced myself to go through the first seasons of Black Mirror, but I couldn't start the last one because it's the same reason I stopped watching Game of Thrones. It's just, I just can't take so much negativity.
It's not meant to.
Yeah.
I know it's a negative question. Maybe we shouldn't end with that one. But
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what are you thinking of as things to stay away from?
Well, I think
Be careful about.
somebody once said that, I forget who it was, somebody once said that technology is neither good nor bad nor value neutral. We do have a responsibility, you know, I mean, you know, the pen, you know, the same printing technology, you know, that was used for books that enlightened people, you know, Uncle Tom's Cabin, which, you know, probably had as much to do with changing the minds in America about slavery as just about anything. And, you know, Mein Kampf, same technology. And so I think that I like to focus on the positive things, but I'm aware that, of course, there are negative things. And it's not just the drawing, it's just the very fact that we're walking around wearing those glasses. I mean, the very fact that you know, governments and large corporations now know where you are all the time because you have a phone in your pocket. They just do. You don't take your battery out, so they know where you are. Now, do you trust them? I don't know. Is the convenience so great that you don't care whether you trust them? I was okay with it for the last 8 years in my country, but now I'm a little bit nervous. And I think, you know, the same thing. I remember I said we can choose not to see things. We can choose not to see the homeless people on the street. We can choose not to see that the building actually has never been repainted because nobody cares anymore because everyone just puts on their glasses in the morning, and it's your problem if you decide to be a troglodyte. There are technologies that are so taken for granted that it's actually illegal to leave your home without them. Certain older technologies like clothing, which is a technology, but if you walk out of your house, you're allowed to be naked inside your house. Nobody questions that. But if you walk out and you're not wearing any clothes, they arrest you and they think you're crazy because it's such a taboo. Even though, you know, if the weather's warm, there's nothing wrong with it in any sense other than socially. And you know, it's about tribal, social, sexual taboos that are being messed with, and people take the more meaningless it is, the more seriously people take it. And so, same thing, the technology of money. In New York City, it's illegal to walk around without money, without a wallet, without an ID, without some visible means of support. Doesn't mean they'll arrest you, but it means they can arrest you. Whereas you can walk around your apartment as much as you want without a wallet. Nobody cares. So I think the glasses are going to start serving that purpose. Signs on stores, on subways and buses, just all the information, all the stuff that you now look at your phone and you look at this sort of Google Maps kind of thing. It's going to be there, and people will stop. Written signs will be kind of cute. They'll be like, oh, yes, we still ride horses because horses are fun, you know, not because I need to get to the next town. And so I think we won't lose the old technologies, but the old technologies will become seen as something quaint and charming, not utilitarian. And the downside, of course, is how do you prevent me from looking at you and finding out about, you know, your arrest record for drugs like 5 years ago? You're in a job interview. You didn't want me to know about that. I wasn't supposed to know about that, whatever. And now I do, and now it's a problem. Or, you know, how do we navigate people know too much about each other? And not just because I looked at my phone, but because I'm just looking at you. And the facial recognition tells me everything I need to know to look up everything about you while we're having our first conversation. How do you stop people? And, you know, some of the Black Mirror episodes do deal with this. How do you stop someone from stealthily walking around and nobody can see them because they work for some agency that has the permission to turn them off visually to everybody else? How do you stop somebody, as there was one episode that was actually about this, from being disappeared? You know, like nobody sees you. And I think that the answer lies in the following parallel. Right now, at this moment, there is nobody in this room who is safe technologically from having your apartment broken into. Like, somebody can easily break into your apartment. It's not a problem. They can jimmy the lock. They wait till nobody's at the door. They can bust through your window. They can do anything. It's easy to break into places. And yet, you're not all rushing home in fear that your stuff is going to get broken into, because what we've done, since we know that the technology to break into places is always ahead of what is economically feasible to support, or the technology to protect ourselves, we use non-technological means. We have laws, we have social conventions, we have a whole fabric of stuff that's non-technological that makes the consequences of getting caught so high that people won't risk it unless they're in a situation where the consequences are low. And so I think that the same thing is going to happen. If we want to have privacy and we have awareness and consciousness of it, if we want to not be intruded on, then certain things which are technically allowed will become taboo and or illegal. But it's not up to the technology to make the bad stuff stop. It's up to us to make the bad stuff stop by recognizing that we've just created potentially, potential something that can help people, but something that can also hurt people. And no way of getting around the hard decisions, but they're not going to be technical decisions.